I want to say good day to all of you, and you're welcome to another short episode for educational purposes regarding bees and their role and how we interact with them. I want to talk to you today about pollen. Probably you have heard about pollen. Is that powdery substance which is very fine to probably coarse to some flowers, which we can find it on flowers and blooms all over the place, can differ in color. And pollen is basically the male flower will develop this powdery substance and will be like a genetic material to be transferred on the female flower of the tree, and so that female flower will produce, being pollinated, will produce the seed or the fruit, and will ensure the furtherance of that species of either flower or tree. You can see here, and a little bit further I will show you as I go there. I have placed a pollen collector, that's how it's called, in front of the entrance. This is difficult for me to do, but pollen is one of the most nutritious foods on earth, and basically has more than 40% protein, and I am forced to harvest some from them with two purposes. They do bring a lot of pollen in, and there is always a danger that they will fill up the frames inside, and then there's other difficulties on that regard. I will not expand on that because I will be going too long. So for me doing this, I ensure that some pollen will stay out of the hive as they collected, and I will be using this. I have promised, I'm not sure if time comes I will break this promise or not, that I will not be eating it. And I always apologize to the bees in the night when I collect the pollen, that it is for my wife, and I do harvest it on her behalf, that she needs it. For you to understand why is so difficult for me, I will give you some clue. I have brought here on a small plate a small quantity of the pollen which I have harvested. I'll just put it in the sun somehow for you to see. You can see it varies in color. This is probably a good teaspoon of pollen, and for them to basically bring in this pollen, 1 teaspoon of pollen, one bee needs to work 8 hours a day for a whole month. And that kind of says it all. Their work is ginormous. What is going on? And we basically scoop it down our throat and don't think about. Well, that's why it is hard for me to consume it, because I think they have worked unbelievable to bring this in. What is the pollen used for? The pollen, it's called the bee bread. They store it in the comb inside the hive, and basically is food for the young bees mainly. So it's a nectar is the other source, and pollen it's these two sources are foods for bees. That's why it's so important for them to have plenty of forage place to go onto. Same like our diet, more diverse, more healthier. If bees have a diversity, so when you look in that plate, you would like to see probably like 5 kinds of colors. That will mean that there is a diverse diet for them to feed on. and that would be very, very good. It is said that the bushes and some of the weeds farmers are fighting to get rid of are most healthy for bees. So you can see the war between bees and human being. Human being gets rid of a lot of things which are very, very healthy for the bees. Now I just want to zoom in here a bit for you to see how difficult it is for the bees to come in with pollen on their legs and then squeeze through those holes in order to get in the hive, and by squeezing through the hole, the pollen which is carried on their back legs, it is scraped off. I do not see a lot of pollen coming in today. Possible, for sure there is some. Possible there is a lot of nectar coming in. So sometimes you have more pollen coming in, sometimes you have a bit less. And what I do, I will lift this grill up for a few days. I'll lift it up and then they have entrance in. You can see here a male bee. See here the male bee. If I can grab it, the male bee does not have a stinger. See, I have grabbed it. Where are you? It doesn't have a stinger. It is quite a bit bigger, and you see you have these holes on the side, and they're made especially for the male bee. The male bee will never fit through those holes, so they have to learn finding a way in on the side, in and out. Some of the bees are using as well, see how they get out rather than coming through those holes. So that's about pollen. It's an amazing thing. Sometime I will take you in the hive and I will show you there how the pollen is stored. It goes through a process of fermentation inside the storage place there, so it's mixed with enzymes, and what you're tasting from this drawer now, it's not the same taste when you're tasting it from inside the frame. It has like a pickleish, like you pickle cucumbers, it has a different taste, the cucumber pickled, than it is fresh. And it's the same with the pollen. It's absolutely stunning, beautiful how they do that, and they store this pollen very close by to the young bees, to the brood nest, so it is there for them to take it and feed the young bees with. Well, until next time, I will say God bless you. Thank you. If I want to ask again, if you're finding this to be useful, to be engaging, please share it with someone. It's extraordinarily important that we would know more of the importance of bees, and we would do our bit to protect them and create an environment for them to suit them, and by doing so we're just blessing ourselves, because they're such a good part of our lives and we may not know that. Thank you very much.